Hey, special educators. Welcome to Teach TaskBox Inspire, the podcast dedicated to making your job as a special education teacher easier by making your instruction more fun for you and your students. Inside each episode, you'll learn how to get the most use out of your task boxes in the classroom. I'm your host, Lisa Holiday from Chalkboard Superhero, a veteran special education teacher passionate about empowering you with purposeful teaching strategies, helpful tips and tricks, and other classroom management tools that will help you thrive in your role. Let's get started with today's episode.
Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Teach TaskBox Inspire. I'm your host, Lisa Holiday, and today we're going to be talking about something that can make your school year so much smoother: winning over parents in the first month. And yes, it can happen. I've had a lot of, quote unquote, red flag parents come to me, lots of admin and other teachers saying, "Ooh, you got that kid. That parent is a nightmare." You guys, all it takes is communication. So we know that when parents trust us, they're more likely to partner with us, support our decisions, and work with us when challenges come up. And that trust doesn't magically appear. It's built intentionally, starting from day one. Actually, sometimes even before the start of the school year. So before we jump into these strategies, I want to share a personal story that happened to me this week. So my son, who has special needs, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know Jacob. He has Down syndrome. So this week, he got invited to this overnight camp, and I was freaking out. I was a complete mess. I mean, this is the first time he's ever been away from me overnight, let alone for multiple days. And he's there for a whole week. Now, he does have a special education teacher who completely recommended this camp that's 2 hours away from me, and I was not having it. But he's 10 years old, and I really want to work on his independence, and so I agreed. So here's the kicker. He's not able to call me, no quick, "I'm fine, Mom," to ease my mind, nothing. But you know what's making all the difference? His special education teacher that he had this past year, she is one of the camp counselors, and she has gone out of her way to send me little updates, little text messages and pictures and even video, letting me know that he's safe, he's having fun, and he's enjoying all these fun activities. That communication, it's gold. It turned my anxiety into relief. And it made me feel like I could breathe again. And it hit me. This is exactly what parents of our students feel at the start of the school year. They're handing over their most important person to us every single day. And for some of them, that trust is hard earned. And a lot of these kids can't communicate. So the more we communicate, the faster that trust is going to grow. So let's talk about the first month and how that's going to set the tone for your relationship with parents for the entire school year. Number one, positive first impressions are powerful. Frequent, transparent communication builds confidence, and addressing questions or concerns early prevents bigger problems later. So if parents feel informed and valued, they're more likely to see you as a partner, not just a service provider. So what can we do, right? You're like, "Okay, Lisa, tell me what to do." Number one, make the first contact positive. And you guys, I've had special education teachers for Jacob for, the last, his whole life. So here's the problem. I've had teachers not even contact me within the first day, the first week, or even the first 2 weeks. That is just crazy. And let me tell you, in his IEP, I have daily communication, which means somebody from that school better be communicating to me on a daily basis. And sometimes it doesn't happen. You guys, that sets a bad tone automatically. So don't wait until there's a problem within that first week, especially if it's in an IEP within that first day. I want you to send a quick email, a text, or a call just to say, "Hi, I'm so glad your child's in my class. I'm so-and-so. He's doing great, blah, blah, blah," right? Or even the first few days before school starts, because sometimes kids are a little bit nervous on who they're going to be having. You can send a text message before school starts, or even better, send a letter home before school starts, introducing yourself, or even a little book that says, here's what your classroom will look like. Here's who you're going to have in your classroom, or things like that. That is like top tier, right? You can make that first contact super positive. You could keep it short and upbeat, but I want you to share something specific that you noticed about that child. So you can say something like, hi, I just want to let you know that Noah did such a great job following our morning routine today. He even helped another student find their spot. I mean, just a little bit into what's going on at school is enough. All right, the next thing you want to do is set communication expectations. So you're going to want to let the parents know how and when you're going to communicate. If it's in their IEP already, where you have to send daily communication or weekly communication, that's different, right? You are going to set that up personally with those parents. Is it going to be via communication notebook? Is it going to be an email? Are you using Parent Square? Are you going to be sharing your phone number and texting them daily? However that's set up. But sometimes classroom teachers will send weekly newsletters or using Remind or Class Dojo or email or phone calls. You want to be clear on how they're going to be getting that communication on a weekly basis. All right. Then I want you to use multiple communication channels to kind of let them know how their students are doing, right? So some people like email, text, quick phone calls. The more you meet individual parent needs, the better, right? I always tell Jacob's teachers that I love photos. Because he can't communicate and I have no idea what he's saying, when we're all sitting down at the table and, I have his two sisters who are super chatty talking about their day and Jacob has no way to share about his day, I will whip out the phone and I'll share the picture that the teacher sent me and say, oh, look, buddy, I see that it looks like you're in gym. Were you in gym class today? And he'll be like, yeah, me. He feels like part of the communication. And I know sometimes taking pictures can be a little cumbersome or hard to do throughout the school day. And sometimes the whole entire day goes and I don't get that picture. But I'm telling you, the first month is the most important because when I get a bunch of pictures in the beginning of the year and then I start to get nothing, that's okay. I know and I trust the teacher and I know he's doing a great job. It's fine if I don't get any more pictures. But that first month is what counts. All right. I want you to share more than just academics. And yes, parents want to know about progress, but they also love to hear about their child's day-to-day moments. A funny story from circle time or a moment of kindness. Maybe somebody helped them or they learned a new skill. They learned to tie their shoes or maybe they added a new friend in lunchtime. But these little tiny stories go a long way toward building that connection and independence at home. I also want you to document and celebrate any wins and take pictures. Also get permission, but keep notes or send them along periodically. Something like they completed a project or they did something really cool in gym class or they were kind to somebody in the hallway. So just like that special ed teacher at camp did for me, pictures speak volumes. So I do want you to respond promptly to any concerns. Even if you don't have time to answer, I want you to acknowledge the message. If you notice on your smartwatch that, Noah's parents just sent you a text, I want you to make sure that you respond to them as fast as you can. You don't have to run to your computer and respond to them, but it shouldn't be 2 days from now. It shouldn't be 3 days from now. A simple, I got your email, I'm looking into it, and I'll follow up by tomorrow will show parents that you're taking their concerns seriously. And you guys, I've gotten some very stupid concerns in the past. Something that seems overly concerning to parents might not seem so concerning to you. But if you act like it's as concerning to you, they'll feel some sort of relief, like, oh, okay, they're taking care of it. The next thing is to keep the tone positive. even when discussing challenges. And I know this can be hard, but I want you to focus on what's going right before bringing up an area of need. And I want you to offer solutions, not just problems. For example, we've noticed Xavier's having a hard time with transitioning to math. One strategy I'm trying is using a visual timer, and I'll let you know how it goes. Instead of just saying, I've noticed Xavier's having a really hard transitioning. Like, what do you want me to do about it? The bottom line is parents want to feel like you see their child. You know their child. You care about their child. And the best way to show that is through consistent, genuine communication, especially in that first month, especially that first day. If I go a whole week and if somebody hasn't reached out to me after a whole week, I am contacting that school and now I'm livid. I already don't like that teacher. And I know that those first few days are a whirlwind. I'm a teacher. I get it. But you have got to set aside a time in the day or after school to just reach out to these parents. Just like I'm grateful for those camp updates about my son, and believe me, I'm checking my phone constantly for those updates. Parents are grateful for every little glimpse you give to them into their child's day, especially if they're nonverbal. It turns worry into peace of mind and strangers into partners. So as you dive into the school year, I want you to ask yourself, have I reached out to every parent yet? Have I shared a positive story? Have I made it clear that I'm here for them and their child? Start there. And I promise you'll be amazed at the relationships you build. All right, friends, that's all I have for today's episode. If you found this helpful, share it with another teacher who's starting the year strong. And as always, you can grab any tools and resources to make your classroom run smoothly over at chalkboardsuperhero.com. Until next time, guys, bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Teach, TaskBox, Inspire. I hope you've gained some tips and motivation to fuel your week ahead. If you're ready to explore more strategies for empowering your students as independent learners, be sure to dive into my free training at chalkboardsuperhero.com/training. And don't keep all this knowledge to yourself. Share this episode with your special education teacher friends who could use some motivation and inspiration. One more thing before you go. If you're finding this podcast helpful and want to show support, head to Apple Podcasts and leave your rating and review. Until next time, keep teaching, taskboxing, and inspiring.